Hi yogis, welcome. This is a 60-minute Vinyasa flow class. We'll start with a meditation, we'll get moving, and we'll get to Shavasana, get you up and off your mat within an hour. Unroll your mat, find your seat right away. Lots of length through the sides of your waist when you're sitting here. So that means sitting up really tall. It doesn't really matter what your meditation looks like. It doesn't really matter what you do with your hands. And in fact, it doesn't really matter what your poses look like as well. The only thing that you pay attention to is strong posture. And a posture in itself doesn't really matter what it looks like. So settle into what feels like a comfortable, strong seat. I'm sitting on a little block. Tuck your chin ever so slightly in towards your chest and then close your eyes into your meditation. The intention with meditation is to smooth out the coarse mind. Smooth out sort of any bumpiness or challenges, frustration, whatever's going on outside of the confines of your own mind. You smooth out your reactions to all that stuff, and you settle in down and into your meditation. So close your eyes, smooth out, maybe literally smooth out your forehead, and then start to breathe smoothly, smooth inhales and smooth exhales, so that you start to smooth out the coarse mind, the disruptive, frustrated, the overly emotional, overly reactive mind. You smooth that out and you settle into your meditation, into this breath by breath awareness of this moment, of the awareness of the now. Thank you for meditating with me to start our practice. Gently blink your eyes open. Stretch your hands up towards the sky. Inhale, lift your chin and your gaze up. And then follow your thumbs down with your gaze as you exhale. Do that again. Stretch your hands high towards the sky. Inhale. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. One more time. Reach your hands up as you inhale, lean back slightly into a back bend. And exhale, hands come down to your heart center. Bring your hands onto your knees and then curl forward, tuck your chin into your chest. Inhale, lengthen your spine, look up towards the sky. Exhale. Again, inhale, lift up. Exhale. Round forward. This time bring your left hand beside your hip, reach your right hand up and over your ear. Inhale, gaze up towards your thumb, and then switch sides. Inhale as you reach up, exhale, plant your right hand on the mat, reach up with your left hand. We'll come back and forth 2 times on each side, inhaling as you reach up and stretch high, exhaling as you come into a side bend. carry on with your own breath. So we started with the meditation, we smoothed out your intention, any of the distractions that were fluttering around in your mind from whatever it is that's going on off your mat. And then we come into the moving meditation. This is the method of yoga, meditation combined with movement. And there's lots of other aspects to the yoga as well, but for a vinyasa practice, which means ordered sequence of poses, the method is meditation plus breath plus movement. Come back to center, breathe in, bring your hands onto your knees, and then start to make some really big circles with your upper body. So this is just free flow. You don't need to look like anything in particular here, just moving and maybe working out any stiffness in your low back. And I'm definitely feeling a little bit stiff through my low back. It's midsummer right now, and lots of bike riding, 20 Ks a day or so, which definitely on my bike, I find that if I don't stretch into a really good posture while I'm pedaling, I get a little bit sore through the low back. So that's why I like to remind myself and my students when we're seated, come to seated here, is to feel what feels like a strong, comfortable posture for your low back and for the rest of your back. So sit down into that posture for just 3 or 4 breaths, and then commit in your mind that for the duration of this vinyasa practice, you won't worry too much what your poses look like, but you will pay attention to good posture. With that in mind, come over onto your hands and knees. You can get rid of this, if you were sitting on a block, you can get rid of that. Come onto your hands and knees, and then come into 3 rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, really exaggerate the movement, look up towards the sky. Yeah, there's that low back. Exhale, and round forward, tuck your chin in towards your chest. 2 more like that. Inhale, cat or cow, I can never remember which one is which. And then exhale, round forward. Try different widths for your knees. One more time. Inhale, lift and lengthen your gaze. Exhale, round forward. Come to high plank. Measure out your feet. So your feet should be right underneath your heels. Your wrists are right underneath your shoulders, looking slightly forward, and then ripple back, press back to downward facing dog. Energetically press your heels down and in towards the mat in downward facing dog. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. Wiggle your toes, pick up all 10 toes, and then one by one, place them back down on the mat, and then turn your gaze towards your navel. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Look forward first, and then step your feet to the top of the mat. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Knees are straight or bent or somewhere in between. Come all the way up to standing. Root down into the mat to reach up to the top of the mat. Exhale, hands together at heart center. Great. I'm going to switch sides on my mat coming up to the top, but you can stay exactly where you are. Come through 3 sets of sun salutation A here. Inhale, reach your hands up to the sky. Dive forward, hinging at your hips. Exhale. Look up, breathe in, come up onto your fingertips. And then you could jump back. For me, I just usually step back. I don't quite have the the mobility and the confidence to float through the vinyasas. Look up towards the sky, roll over your toes, or just step over your toes, press back, downward facing dog. There's all these instructions that I offer to students, things like jumping back or rolling over your toes, but for the most part, they're not really part of my own practice. I like the feeling of carefully flowing from pose to pose. Just checking out what my body can do, depending on how much skiing, biking, walking, sitting I've been doing. Gaze towards your navel. 1 more breath, downward facing dog. And then look to the top of the mat. Walk your feet forward, step your feet halfway lift. Breathe in. Exhale, fold down. Come all the way up to standing, reach up, inhale, and then right away into the second round. Fold forward, this time hands come through heart center. Look up and lengthen, breathe in, step or jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana, exhale. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Breathe in, breathe out, 1. Breathe in, breathe out, 2. Breathe in, breathe out, 3. Step to the top of the mat. Lengthen, breathe in, look up. Exhale, fold forward, head down. Stand all the way up. Inhale and reach up. Samastitihi, hands through heart center and then down by your side. One more salutation, A, like that. 1 breath per movement. Reach up, inhale. Fold, exhale. Lengthen, look up, breathe in. Jump back, Chaturanga, breathe out. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Breathe in, breathe out, 1. Breathe in, breathe out, 2. Breathe in, breathe out, 3. Look forward, step your feet forward, halfway lift, inhale, exhale and fold. And stand up, inhale. Samastitihi, hands by your sides, exhale, great. Let's flow through sun salutation B and then come into some vigorous standing poses, standing and balancing poses. So Utkatasana, chair pose, lots of weight into your heels, lean your weight back and look up towards your thumbs. Breathe in, straighten your elbows. Breathe out, 1. Breathe in, we'll only do this once. Breathe out, 2, look up to your thumbs. Breathe in. Breathe out, 3, straighten your legs as you fold forward. Lengthen and look up, inhale. Chaturanga Dandasana, jump back, exhale. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, step your right leg to the sky, stack your right hip, bend your knee. And then step through to warrior 1. Right foot through, back foot at 45 degrees. Look up to your thumbs, breathe in, 3 breaths here. Breathe out, 1, fingers together, thumb apart. Breathe in, breathe out, 2. Breathe in, breathe out, 3. Both hands down to the mat. Step through a vinyasa, starting to build some heat. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left leg lifts to the sky, bend your left knee. Step through. Point your toe as you step through and then plant your hand, plant your foot. The last moment. Reach your hands up, 3 breaths. Virabhadrasana A, warrior 1. Gaze up. Exhale, both hands down to the mat. Step back, Chaturanga Dandasana, exhale. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Let's come through some standing poses. Step your right leg to the sky. Bend your right knee. Stay here for a couple of minutes or a couple of moments. You could make some big circles with this right leg if you like. And then step your right foot in between your hands. Come to warrior 2. Arms extended out from your shoulders. Gaze over your right middle finger. Breathe in. Breathe out, 1. Bend your right knee as deeply as you can. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Turn your right palm up. Reverse your warrior. Reach up and back. Lots of length through the right side of your waist. Come back to warrior 2. And then extended side angle. Right hand down to the outside edge of your right foot. Left hand reaches up and over your ear. Gaze to your left hand. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Stand back up. Warrior 2. Trikonasana, triangle. Straighten your right knee. Bring your right hand down to your right ankle. Look up at your left hand. Triangle pose. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. So I'm holding onto my right ankle. The other option, if you can reach, is to hook your index finger and middle finger around your big toe of your right foot. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Come to balancing half moon. Wrap your left hand around behind your back. Right fingertips down to the mat. Balance on your right leg. Reach your left hand up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale 1. 2 more. Look down, both hands down to the mat. Come to standing split. So fold it over your right leg. Chin tuck to chest. Look back at your left toes. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. 2 more breaths here. And then the last pose of this sequence, silently land your left toes at the back of the mat. Reach your hands up for a high lunge. Interlace your hands behind your head and lean back into a back bend. Yes, stretch across the front of your chest. Breathe in here. Breathe out and take 2 more loud, audible breaths in and out through your nose. Finally, look down to the mat. Frame your front foot with your hands spread wide. Step back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Separate your feet to the width of the mat and then shift your weight from side to side for a couple of breaths. We'll do the second side in a moment, yogis. Bring your feet back to hip width apart. Downward facing dog. Step your left leg to the sky. Bend your left knee. Make some big circles with the left leg. Great. Finally, step through Warrior 2. Virabhadrasana B. Gaze out over your left middle finger. Warrior 2, the great warrior pose, battling the coarseness of your mind, battling any reluctance that you have about doing the practice. Reverse warrior, turn your left palm up, inhale. Come back to Warrior 2, exhale. Extended side angle, left hand down to the outside edge of the left foot. Reach up with your right hand, gaze towards your right fingertips. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Come back to Warrior 2. Inhale, the great battle against your reluctance to do your practice, the battle against your ego. And then straighten your left knee, Trikonasana, left hand to left ankle or left fingertips, hold big toe. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Take 3 breaths here. Wrap your right hand behind your back. Left fingertips to the mat. Balancing half moon on your left foot. Look up at your right hand. You'll be confident with your practice, yogis. I know that you're doing this practice at home, and sometimes you just can't get into it at home. You don't have the right space, you don't have the right floor, you don't have the right inspiration, but always do the best you can with your practice wherever you are. 1 more breath in here. Reach as high as you can with your right hand, and then turn your gaze down, both hands down, standing splits. And that means you're squaring off your hips. So right hip is dropping, left hip is lifting, folding over your left leg. Tuck your chin to your chest. And knee to nose, nose to knee. And then finally, land your right foot on the mat for a high lunge. Sweep your hands up to the sky. Inhale, and then interlace your hands behind your head and lean back. Come through a Vinyasa, both hands down to the mat. Step back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Upward facing dog. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Look to the top of the mat. Walk your feet forward. Big toes together, heels apart. Halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale and fold forward. And then stand up. Inhale. Reach up and look up at your thumbs. Bring your hands together at your heart center. Beautiful standing sequence. Let's do another one. Bring your hands to your waist. Look up towards the sky and then fold forward and separate your feet to hip width apart. Hold onto your big toes with your index finger and middle finger. Pull up on your big toes. Exhale and fold forward. Bend your elbows out to the side. 3 deep breaths here in this forward fold. Now for some of you, your knees might come quite close to straight, and that's great. For me, there's still a pretty significant bend in my knees. For some others of you, you might have an even deeper bend in your knees. Doesn't really matter, just matters that you keep staying with your deep breathing in and out through your nose. Bring your left hand to your waist, and then stand up. Bring your right foot with you. So you have this great grip on your big toe with your index finger and your middle finger. Stare straight ahead. I'm going to turn to the side. Stare straight ahead. Find your balance. And then if you know the full option, you might extend your leg out in front of you. You might extend your leg straight. You might open your right leg out to the side. Now, of course, the option is to keep this right knee bent, staring straight ahead, or leg can be something like straight. So my leg obviously isn't straight, but it feels straight in your mind. Turn your gaze over your left shoulder. Breathe in. 3 deep breaths here. Come back to center. I like to bend the knee to get there. Sort of unravel your hips. You're kind of tucking everything in towards center. And then extend this right leg with both hands on your waist. High as you can. Do the best you can, just like me. Breathe in. That's all we do. We show up for ourselves and we do the very best we can with our practice. Point your toes. Stare straight ahead. Squeeze your waist with your hands. 1 more breath in. And then both feet comes down to the mat. Exhale. Let's come through that again through the forward fold. Reach your hands up towards the sky. Look up. Exhale, fold forward, hands down. Index finger and middle finger, hold big toes, Padangustasana. Look up, inhale. Exhale and fold. Right hand to your waist. Bring your left knee with you. Left knee is bent. Now for this side, I will extend, but not as straight as the other side. And then some days I can open up on this side. The left side is the knee that I had surgery on, and it was a hamstring graft. And I find even 2 years later, the hamstring stuff is still quite demanding. And you know, that's really the beauty of the yoga practice, is that you get to examine what's going on with your body. You get to very patiently, day by day, step by step, see how you're doing. Gaze out over your right shoulder. Knee is bent or straight. It's about as much as my hamstring will tolerate. And then unravel back to center. Extend your left leg, point your toe. Breathe, squeeze your waist with your hands. Breathe in, stare straight ahead. Breathe out 1, straight posture. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Carefully replace your left foot back down on the mat. I will step back to the top of the mat. Inhale into a vinyasa. Ordered sequence of poses. Exhale, fold forward. Lengthen and look up. Breathe in. Jump or step back. Breathe out. Upward facing dog. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Separate your feet to mat width apart, and then walk your hands to the back of the mat. Keep your left hand firmly planted on the mat. Reach your right hand up to the sky. Bend or don't bend your knees, whatever feels good here. Right hand comes down, second side, left hand to the sky. Let's do this 3 times each side. Just a little reminder to ourselves that yoga is just breath plus movement. Sometimes you just make up the poses as you go. Right hand down, exhale. Last one, reaching up as you inhale. Exhale, both hands down to the mat. Come up onto your fingertips so that you can come up halfway. Inhale, and then turn your toes out and sit down into a yogi squat at the back of the mat. Palms together, knees separating, elbows tucked in between your knees. Stare straight ahead, soften your face, and breathe deeply here. 5 ujjayi breaths. Breathe together. One more deep breath in your yogi squat. And then walk your hands forward and come to lie down on your belly. Hands come underneath your shoulders. Very slowly curl up into low cobra. Inhale. When you get as high as you can, lift your hands up and off the mat so that you're using your low back. Press your toenails into the mat. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Take 2 more breaths. Hands come down to the mat and press back to child's pose. This time knees together, feet together, forehead down on the mat. Let's press back to 3-legged dog. Lift your right leg towards the sky. Inhale, bend your right knee, and then come into pigeon pose. Right knee behind your right wrist. Lift your chin and your chest up to the sky. Press your toenails down and into the mat. Look back over your left shoulder and then walk your hands down towards the mat. And just rest your chin in your palms for this pigeon pose. We'll do 10 breaths on each side, so a really luxurious pigeon pose. Settle down, smooth out the coarseness of your mind. Plant your hands on the mat. Step back, three-legged dog. Right leg lifted. And then switch sides. Pigeon on the left side. Lift your left leg towards the sky. Inhale. Step your left knee behind your left wrist for 10 breaths in pigeon pose. And then from here, plant your hands on the mat. Just swing your weight down onto your left hip. We're going to come into some seated poses. Wrap your right knee over top of your left. Nestle both sit bones firmly down into the mat. And then wrap your left arm around your right knee. Twist over your right shoulder. We'll do 5 luxurious breaths. 5 luxurious breaths on each side here. And come back through center, and then switch the cross of your legs. Right knee is on the bottom. Cross your left knee over top. This left knee is pointing straight up towards the sky. You wrap your right arm around your knee, and then you twist over your left shoulder. Just sort of gently manipulating your spine into this twist. Not going too deep, but making sure that you feel some sensation through your low back, your middle back, and your upper back. Even the back of your neck is participating in the twist as you turn your gaze over your left shoulder. Finally unravel back to center and lower yourself down and onto the mat. Lie down. Let's do one more reclined twist before we do a back bend. So bend your knees in towards your chest. Drop your knees over to the right side and turn your gaze to the left. 5 breaths here. These are very luxurious reclined twists. Squeeze your knees in towards your chest. And knees to the left. Turn your gaze right. Squeeze your knees in towards your chest. Rock from side to side a couple of times. And then plant your feet on the mat about hip width apart. 3 back bends here. Press your palms together above your belly first, thumbs right into your sternum, and then lift your hips up and off the mat. Once you've lifted them as high as you can, kind of snug your shoulders underneath you, and then turn your palms up to the sky beside you. Stare straight up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. Let's do 5 breaths each round. Breathe out 1. Lifting your hips as high as you can. Lots of weight through your feet, lifting through the arches of your feet. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. 3 more. And then on your last exhale, lower upper back, middle back, lower back down towards the mat. Just windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And let's do the second round. This time, lift your lower back, middle back, and upper back off the mat. Bring your hands underneath your waist. Lift up onto your tippy toes as high as you can, and then lower your heels back down. Just a tiny bit more space than in the last back bend. Clasp your hands behind your back. Pinky fingers resting on the mats. 5 deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. 1. Inhale. Exhale. 2. Inhale. Exhale. 3. Inhale. Exhale. 4. 1 more, staring straight up at the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. 5. Lower upper back, middle back, lower back to the mat. Tent your knees together. Bring your feet the width of your mat. Take a pause. And our third and final back bend. Plant your hands above your shoulders, fingertips pointing down towards your feet. Elbows pointing straight up at the sky. On a deep inhale, you lift up onto the crown of your head first, and then you push the mat away from you, straighten your arms and legs, or something like straight. Urdhva Dhanurasana, full upward bow pose. Breathe in. Breathe out 1. Breathe in. Breathe out 2. Breathe in. Breathe out 3. Breathe in. Breathe out 4. Breathe in. Breathe out 5. Lower down
Press the soles of your feet together, knees wide, hands extended up and overhead. And just rest here, about 10 breaths resting here. Last couple of breaths, Supta Baddha Konasana. Smooth out any coarseness in your attention. Start to practice your meditation again. We're coming to a restorative inversion. So it's legs up the wall, but in the middle of the room. Viparita Karani with a block. Have a block handy. Slide the block underneath your hips. And you can also do this against the wall if you don't have a block with you, or use a really thick book. I don't really recommend using a pillow. It's a little bit too soft and it doesn't quite get this support for your low back, but your hips are resting lightly on the block. Toes are pointed, and even though this is a restorative, so it's trending towards a restorative pose, but even though it's a restorative pose, your legs are still quite strong and active. So big toes are pressing together, toes are pointed, and your shoulders are moving down and away from your neck, very engaged through your core. And we'll stay here for about 3 minutes. So soften your face, soften any coarseness in your attention, and let yourself retreat into your yoga pose. Let yourself retreat into this beautiful restorative, somewhat restorative inversion. Restorative yoga is all about restoring vital energy. So for full restorative pose, everything is supported. So we might use a strap if this was a truly restorative pose, but it is still slightly more restorative than the alternative of shoulder stand. And it's all about restoring vital energy so that you can start to understand what rest feels like, and then start to practice taking rest at various intervals throughout the day, knowing when you need it, and knowing, more importantly than that, knowing how to take rest. So it's what you're practicing right now. You're practicing just lying here, smoothing out the coarseness of your mind, feeling restored and rejuvenated. And 3 minutes is about the suggested time for an inversion. So finally, bend your knees in towards your chest, get rid of the block out from underneath you, and rock from side to side gently. Our next pose is Shavasana. Separate your feet to mat width apart and lie flat on your back. Now I'm going to stay with you for Shavasana, and then we'll close with a meditation. I don't want to turn the YouTube video off during Shavasana, because then you end up stuck with the next video or stuck with an ad while you're trying to do your rest. So I'm going to stay with you. We'll do 6 or 7 minutes in Shavasana, and then we'll come into a meditation. Shavasana, of course, is rest. All you have to do is turn your palms up towards the sky, separate your feet to mat width apart, maybe shake your legs out, shake your hands out, and then close your eyes and let yourself take this is restorative rest. And finally, to wake up from your Shavasana, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Come onto your right side. Just rest here in the transition between Shavasana and meditation. About 10 breaths resting here on your side. And then sit up into our final meditation. Cross your ankles. Maybe you're sitting in half lotus. Maybe you're just sitting with one ankle stacked on top of the other like me. Hands can be in your lap or resting on your knees. Find your good posture, that posture that feels good. Close your eyes. Meditate with me for a few minutes. Finally, bring your hands together at your heart center. Thank you so much for practicing this Vinyasa flow with me, yogis. This is Land and Heart Yoga. My name is Kate. Thank you for joining me. I will see you again soon. Namaste. I honor the teacher within you and all the teachers that surround us. Thank you for your practice and your energy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.